Hey y'all, happy Monday, and welcome back to the Let's Talk About Life podcast. I am your girl Sheena. I did not record yesterday on the Good Sunday because, to be honest, I was feeling terrible, y'all. I had a terrible headache, and I ain't do nothing but lay in the bed. I ain't even taking no nap. I just laid in the bed and I watched some movies and stuff. Um, yeah, anyway, I was getting ready to go down the rabbit hole of what I watched and all that, but I ain't even got long like that. I got about 20 minutes. So I always say I'm not going to be before you long, but I'm actually not going to be before you long because I got an appointment in 20 minutes. But yes, what I want to talk about today is something that I actually talked. I was talking to my mom on the phone yesterday. And one of the funny things about your parents or my parent, the funny thing I'm gonna say about my mama is in her older age, what typically happens is, we could be talking about some treats that I baked. The next thing I know, she talking about something else random. And that's exactly what happened. I know we talked about all kinds of things yesterday, but one of the things that came up is randomly, I don't know, she could have been saying, yeah, because them treats you made was real good, child, and I really enjoyed them. And then you know what? I don't know why Chantel and them thought that you was the favorite because I ain't have no favorites. It was something like that, not those exact words, but essentially we got to talking about favorites in the family. And she was saying essentially, yeah, because I ain't have no favorite. They thought you was the favorite, but you was the baby. So because you was the baby in the family, you got to get rid of. You got to do things, that your sisters couldn't do it, whatever. Just for context, I have one sister that is 14 years older than me. So I'm not really specifically talking about her because obviously she was, by the time I got old enough to know everything, it was like she was my mama too, to be honest. But I have a sister that is a couple years, about 2.5 years older than me. So we would have grown up stair stepped, if you will. And I know I remember hearing things about like my mama telling her she couldn't jump on the bed. And she was saying, oh, well, Sheena's still jumping on the bed. And she would say, yeah, because when you were her age, you was jumping on the bed and now you can't. Just using that as an example. Obviously, having siblings and all of the things, you have sibling rivalry. And we all feel like somebody else got it better than us, right? Um, this stuck with me because I was essentially telling my mama, like, obviously now I'm 41. My other sister is 44, 43, 41, 42, going on 43, going on 44. It's a shame I got to count on my little fingers and say it all out loud. I just said she was 2.5 years older than me, but um I was just telling my mom, I said, it's funny because I can see how anybody would say that, right? You see one, you think that one kid gets away with more or gets to do more, whatever the case might be. But I told her, I said, it's funny now that I am an adult and I have my own kids, I'm gonna say that I don't have a favorite, right? But I do enjoy my sons for different things, right? Um, whether it be one has better conversation, one is more caring, you know what I'm saying? One is more responsible, or like more handy, or one is you can count on more to do whatever it might be, right? What I've realized is that you don't end up truly having a favorite. You just know that because all kids are different, they're going to be better at some things than others. They're going to be, you know what I'm saying? They're just different. And I was telling her, I said, it's funny, yeah, because I don't have no favorite, but excuse me, I definitely enjoy my kids for different things, right? And I get different things from them because of course they're two different people. And so I could see how maybe in some ways it would seem like I'm the favorite or I was the favorite when realistically speaking, we was just different kids. You know what I'm saying? And I know for a fact, one of the things I've always been really good at is I've always been very observant. So like I said, my older sister, uh was old enough that she was in a class by herself, right? She was way older than us. By the time we got old enough to know any better, she was an adult, pretty much. So, that's a little bit different. But my sister that's right over me, I mean, I watched her do stuff all the time. And I ain't gonna say she stayed getting in trouble, but between the two of us, it was gonna be her that got in trouble for something, saying something or doing something. My mama was very old school. So it won't no whole bunch of talking back, no whole bunch of speaking your opinion, none of the things. And my sister did all of the things. And so she stayed getting in trouble. So I learned either what not to do or how to do it in a way that I won't get caught and get in trouble. So in those ways, yeah, I guess it would seem like I was more of the favorite because I wasn't getting in trouble for things. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I got put on punishment for, got a beating for, was either saying something smart out my mouth and not to my mama, uh, or not cleaning up. That's it. That's all. Not cleaning something up or saying something smart to one of the little ladies in the neighborhood or something, because they used to try to talk junk and stuff to me, and I used to forget that I was a child and that I needed to go get my mama and get her to fight my battles. Okay. But yeah, it's funny because I say all of that to say, I was telling my mama, I said, and the funny thing about that is, and she actually called it as well. I said, the funny thing about that is, for anybody to ever think that I was the favorite, I felt like I was the least liked in the family. I felt like I got the shortest end of the stick out of the three of us. We got different daddies. I got I don't want to say piece of shit, but I got the dad that could have cared less about me. Want nobody trying to come and get me and do nothing for me. As I got older, all of us, as we got older, there were people in the family that both of my older sisters could count on in hard times, whether it be financially, whether it be for support, whatever it might be. And I cannot say that I had any of that. I ain't have nobody checking for me. I ain't have nobody begging to come and get me and help take care of me. As a young adult and even into adulthood, I ain't have nobody with no Lord have mercy, let me give Sheena this, let me do that. None of the things. So I actually grew up feeling like I was the least favorite, to be quite honest. I was also telling my mama, like, because I was very nonchalant, or I come across that way, because I would honestly say that I'm probably the most sensitive and I really care about all of the things. It's just more that defense mechanism of, you ain't about to see me hurt. So I felt like people pick more. I felt like people were always trying to get anybody would ever think that I was the favorite in any situation, because I felt like the exact opposite. When I was younger, I recall there always being a conversation about my skin tone, because I'm just a little bit lighter than my mom and my sisters. And I can hit them there like, girl, oh, shut up, it ain't no big deal. Actually, being a kid and always hearing stuff like, yeah, because Sheena ain't as light as Norma Jean or whatever. I remember one time, and I know if nobody remembers this, I know my sister Stacy remember this, and it was like, remember when you was crying talking about you wanted to be as light as Norma Jean? Yeah, because I was tired of y'all talking about it. Your girl ain't asked to be this shade. Okay? Give me the beautiful milk chocolate skin that don't show no blemishes and all of the things, all right? Because everything's showing his face. Everything showing this body. You see what I'm saying? Everything, all of the things, right? Just those small things, right? It's funny how, like I said, perception is so funny how somebody can think that, like I said, that I would be the favorite. And even down to my mama, like my mama raised us to be very strong for sure. Um, but she also allowed us to be out there and be strong too. Again, you know what I'm saying, and this is no shade, mama, you know I love you, and I'm not saying this to be funny. I know you don't take stuff personal anyway, Chad. But won't nobody there. I just don't, I can't say that there has been anyone that was really out there trying to have my back and make sure that I was good. So growing up and just in life in general, I've never felt like the favorite. I've always felt like the underdog. That's why I gravitate towards underdogs. I gravitate towards people that most people don't like, or things like that, because that is the reality of things that I've grown up with. Now obviously as an adult, um all of that stuff don't even matter. Who cares if somebody like you? Who cares if you're popular? All of the things, right? I'm fine having a little small tight circle anyway at this point. But like I said, it's just funny having that conversation for somebody to say like, yeah, child, because they thought that you was the favorite, and no, I wasn't. I wasn't. Was I easy to raise in some ways? Yeah. Because like I said, I got to sit and see what my sister was doing. Why would I do the same stuff and stay getting in trouble? Right. I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to get no beating. I want the child to be like, beat me and let me go outside. I don't even want to go outside. Let me just sit in a room and read my book. My mama used to always say, like, if we ain't bother you, you ain't bother us. But at the same time, if I went on a band trip or something like that, that I had to probably beg and borrow and be in all of the programs to even be able to afford to go. When it was time for me to get picked up from said band trip, it's 400 students at the daggone school, and I'm the last one getting picked up, having to call my aunt and call this person and call that person, because they done forgot I won't even at the house. Okay. So again, like I said, I don't know what the favorite is or what we think is the favorite, but I know that I want that, right? Based off of my standards, right? Um, I don't feel like I got treated no better than nobody else. I feel like I paved the way of keeping myself from getting in trouble, pretty much. If I was getting a beating, I came in the room crying. So she could hit me a couple times. My sister go in there, you hear, oh, you ain't gonna cry. You ain't gonna cry. You got to get a beating for 18 hours. Anybody got time for that? Hit me a couple times, send me on my way, right? I was trying to be as easy as possible. As long as, like I said, as long as I have to do with cleaning up. So yeah, I don't think that I was the favorite. I think that I was just a kind of a child that was like out of sight, out of mind, to be honest. So how could I be a problem when I won't do much of nothing? Can anybody relate to that? Has anybody ever heard that? You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, what I would say, not even has anybody ever heard that. I would go as far to say, like, in conversations that I had with my sons over the years, right? I feel like if I polled them right now, excuse me, I know this for a fact. I feel like, but even on today, ooh, Lord, excuse me, I just ate dinner before I got up here. Good God, I'm gonna have to make me some tea. Um, I feel like if not now, at some point, I would definitely say that they would say that one of the other was the favorite. Like my oldest son would say that the youngest was the favorite, and the youngest would say that my oldest is the favorite, just based off of, one would say, I always stayed in trouble. I was always on punishment for this, or I was always this, and you ain't never do nothing to this one, and he was disabled, and you ain't never, and this one's gonna say you sit around and you talk to him, and you don't talk to me, and you give him more. All of the things, right? Because it's based off of perception instead of realizing, like I have as an adult, and they'll realize as they get older and they have their kids, that all of that is based off of what the child needs. We all need different things from our parents. Our kids need different things from us. You can't raise the 2 kids, 3 kids, however many you got. You can't raise them exactly the same. You can attempt to and have the same principles, but they're just going to need more things from you. You're going to have a child that you go ahead and tell them something, they go, okay, and you don't have to tell them again. You're gonna have some children that you got to tell the same thing over and over again. You're gonna have some that are real clean, and you ain't gotta, once you show them one time, they got it. You're gonna have some that you every day you gotta go in there and tell them to clean up their room and do all of the things, right? It really just depends on the child, right? You have your kids come and say, like, he don't never get in trouble like I get in trouble. And it's really like, just because you don't see it don't mean that it don't happen. It just hits different because y'all are different people, right? He needs this from me, you need that, you know what I'm saying? It all just depends. But like I said, I'm almost certain that both of them would say, if not now, at some time they felt like the other one was the favorite. um and yeah, so again, like I said, I wonder if anybody feels like that, if anybody's ever been through that or can relate at all, of just what that is and what it feels like, or even like with your kids, right? Because even if you didn't have that growing up, which I feel like because it was something that was talked about growing up, I felt like I was busy making sure that I treated them as much as the same as I could, and only switching it up when it came down to just who they were, like personality wise, you know what I'm saying? Busy, not saying nothing about one being the different shade than the other. Busy, just not pointing out the same things, you know what I'm saying? And just trying to be better than, just trying to be better than. We all want our children to have a better life than we've had, essentially. But yeah, like I said, I just wonder if anybody can relate to that. Are you the favorite? Did you think you were the favorite growing up? Did your siblings or whoever say that you were the favorite? Did they think that about you and you felt like the exact opposite, right? Because like I said, that's what it was for me. They might have thought I was the favorite, but I feel like I've been getting it out the mud since. Okay. And has it made me a strong woman? Yes. Do I want to be a strong woman? No. Do I wish that there had been help and that there had been people bending over backwards to come and get me and to come see about me and to make sure that I was good? Yeah. Um, yeah. What else can I say? I mean, I'd have made it. The Lord is, the Lord is good, and He makes sure that I'm provided for and that I'm able to get out here and do all of the things. So, I'm saying, I can't really complain. But if it had been my choice, it would have been different. So that's pretty much it, y'all. I got about 5 minutes before I have to hop on my meeting. To those who stayed around for this good 17 minutes, I love y'all, and I will see y'all next time. And of course, if not, we'll try to hold your attention the next time around. Everybody be blessed. Everybody be loved. And if you worried and thinking that somebody don't love you, just love yourself. All right. Everybody have a good night. Bye.